So let me just share a few thoughts in regards to adrenal imbalances, what that means in plain English, and how that might impact your body's health. So the first thing we want to understand is the adrenal glands are almond-shaped glands that basically sit on top of your kidneys. And they produce a number of hormones, but the most notable, in my opinion, is something called cortisol. What we're going to do is call cortisol your survival hormone, because it does four key things. The first thing it does is basically helps to balance blood sugar between meals and while you sleep. The second thing it does is basically helps to regulate your sleep-wake cycle in tandem with another hormone called melatonin that's produced elsewhere in your body, in your pineal gland. The third thing that it does is it helps to basically reduce inflammation. The fourth thing that it does is basically helps to handle, at least in part, emotional stress responses. So if we take a look at cortisol, it does four very important things in the body. Unfortunately, we don't have an endless amount of cortisol. There's a finite amount that's produced each day, and then based on our body's needs, that cortisol is used, hopefully sparingly throughout the day, and meets all of those needs and functions. But for many people, they're finding themselves in a circumstance where the physical, chemical, and emotional stressors of life and of our body's health start to exceed our capacity to manage with just cortisol alone. So many people are using up their cortisol early in the day to try to stabilize blood sugar, reduce inflammation, help to basically manage stress responses, and then all of a sudden they start to experience challenges with regards to sleep-wake cycle, with energy. They might even experience other challenges. There's so many spillover effects that can happen as a consequence of adrenal dysregulation. So we're going to share a little analogy and hopefully make this picture a little bit clearer for you. So I want you to imagine that if I have two children and I take them to the fair and I give them each 10 tickets and I tell them we're going to be at the fair for about 5 hours. And I tell them that basically each ride costs 2 tickets. So in order to basically enjoy a ride each hour, they would want to spend maybe 2 tickets per hour. But let's say someone spent all 10 tickets in the first hour. They're certainly going to have a great hour. But at the end of the day, they're probably looking at large farm animals and big pumpkins for the remaining 4 hours. They might be a little bit bored and wishing they had had more tickets or spent their tickets more wisely. So in our body, if we use up all of our cortisol early in the day, then what's going to happen is our body's going to be stuck in this survival mode with very few resources. Well, the good news is we've been divinely engineered, and so we have a backup system. So our backup system is a process where we use resources from sex hormones to basically make more cortisol. Let me put it differently. If you have basically a choice between survival and breeding, like to have intimacy, to have children, if we have a choice between breeding or survival, what are we going to choose? We're always going to choose survival. So the body naturally will take resources from the breeding pathway to move it over to the survival pathway. So one of the common things that people experience as a consequence of this adrenal imbalance is a tendency towards sex hormone dysregulation, which can be very inflammatory inside of the body and can lead to a lot of challenges. Besides just libido, it can lead to issues with regards to reproductive organs or erectile dysfunction if we're talking about men, and the list goes on and on. So the other thing that we can do is basically have a backup system to that backup system, because sometimes people are stuck in these survival mode tendencies and they might not necessarily have enough resources just from the breeding pathway to basically support their need for extra cortisol. So many of these people, as they go to bed, experience sleep disturbances. They're not able to sleep soundly throughout the evening. So if you're experiencing issues with an inability to stabilize your blood sugar between meals and when you sleep, if you're experiencing challenges with regards to sleep dysregulation, if you're experiencing racy heart or what appears to be hot flashes but are actually adrenaline rushes, if you're experiencing hormonal shifts, if you're experiencing extra stress responses or heart palpitations or anxiety attacks, all of these, to at least some degree, could be involved with regards to your adrenal glands. So whenever that happens, whenever we have these metabolic disruptions, it can create additional spillover effects of inflammation elsewhere in the body. Now, many times, people are going to experience metabolic disruption as a consequence of these adrenal dysregulations. And those metabolic disruptions make it very hard, not just to lose weight, but to keep it off. So if you're experiencing some symptoms that sound similar to the ones I've just mentioned, and if some of that rings true with regards to your own personal experiences, then we invite you to consider getting some more information. The best next step would be coming in for a consultation with one of our specialists, and they can go ahead and outline some things that might make a little bit more sense to you and how we can best root out the foundational issues that are holding you back. So in the meantime, we wish you every success for health and happiness and wish you well.